For today's Business Matters, candy maker Mars has left a bad taste with Texas Attorney General. Ken Paxton has launched an investigation into the M&M maker's alleged refusal to remove synthetic food dyes from its products. Paxton is demanding documents from the family-owned confectioner to see whether it violated consumers' rights through deceptive trade practices. In a statement, the Skittles maker said it is actively exploring product alternatives to meet scientific safety criteria and consumer preferences. And OpenAI has teamed up with Alphabet's Google Cloud to expand its computing capacity. Google now appears on an updated list of suppliers published on the ChatGPT maker's website. The AI giant also relies on services from Microsoft, Oracle, and CoreWeave. The addition of Google underscores the massive computing demand needed to train and deploy AI models. This is also OpenAI's latest move to diversify its suppliers beyond its major supporter, Microsoft. PepsiCo is feeling bubbly after better-than-expected quarterly results. The soda and snack maker has previously warned that consumer uncertainty could be a drag on its business. But revenue rose about 1%, driven by steady demand in the US and other major markets, including Europe. Analysts were projecting a decline of about 1%. To stay competitive, Pepsi has responded to a shift in consumer demand for healthier options. It also closed facilities to match lower demand in the snacks category. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is firing back at critics who have accused him of mismanaging the Fed's budget. Last week, the head of the Office of Management and Budget said Powell may have broken the law. The claim centers on whether he followed federal rules for renovating the Fed's headquarters. On Thursday, Powell said a $2.5 billion renovation and its financing have always had careful oversight from the central bank's board and its own watchdog. President Trump called the cost of the renovation disgraceful during a meeting with reporters this week. Trump said Wednesday he is not planning to fire Powell, but he kept the door open to the possibility. Powell's term is expected to expire in May of next year. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that Coca-Cola had agreed to use real cane sugar instead of corn syrup in its beverages in the U.S. Trump's announcement comes after he said he had discussions with the company. Here's more.
Donald Trump is not happy with his Coca-Cola, and he's doing something about it. The US president says he's persuaded the company to change the recipe for its famous drink. Trump says executives have agreed to use cane sugar in the US instead of corn syrup. "You'll see," he said in a social media post, "it's just better." Medical experts say there's no real health advantage in cane sugar. However, a panel convened by Trump has said corn syrup could play a role in childhood obesity and other conditions. Nutritionists generally just advise limiting the intake of all sugars. Now, US farmers may not be happy about any change. A corn industry body said a move to avoid syrup could cost thousands of American jobs. It said the result would be more imports of sugar for no health benefit. Coca-Cola said it would share details on new offerings soon, and thanked Trump for his interest in its products. Whenever a change comes, the president seems sure to be ready with a taste test.
China's Commerce Minister has foreign investment on the mind as U.S. computer chip restrictions ease. The ministry released a statement after Wang Wentao met with Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. It said that Wentao told Huang he hopes multinational companies like Nvidia will provide high-quality and reliable products and services to the Chinese consumers. It also said Huang described the Chinese market as very attractive and said Nvidia was willing to deepen cooperation in AI. In a separate statement, the ministry said the U.S. said it would approve sales of Nvidia's H20 chip to Chinese customers. Nvidia is also working on a new chip for Chinese clients that would be compliant with U.S. export restrictions. Overall travel demand has slumped, but the airline earnings revealed that the affluent continue to take to the skies, while the less wealthy have been grounded. Here's more.
The main cabin is experiencing a bit more turbulence than the front of the plane. Airline executives say premium cabins have become the profit differentiator in the industry. Delta Airlines just reported a 5% year-on-year jump in premium ticket revenue in its second quarter. Compare that to a 5% decline in main cabin revenue. This trend is backed by data from Bank of America. It found spending by middle and higher income households held up last month, but lower income household spending turned negative. This has put pressure on discount carriers. Low-fare carrier JetBlue Airways warned staff about new cost-cutting measures and said that breaking even on its operating margin this year would be unlikely. At the same time, Frontier and Spirit Airlines are aggressively slashing flights. Since premium travelers have proven to be less price-sensitive, more airlines, including budget carriers, are adding premium seats. But this increases the risk of causing a supply glut.
Consumer sentiment inched higher this month. A survey just released by the University of Michigan puts the economic indicator at 61.8. That's roughly in line with economists' expectations of 61.5. It's a 5-month high, but it has not recovered from the decline spurred by tensions over U.S. tariffs. Compared to December, sentiment is down about 16%. Survey respondents also dialed down their expectations for inflation in the year ahead, dropping to 4.4% from 5% in June. A new exit ban on a Wells Fargo employee in China has renewed fears for foreign businesses about doing business in the country. Here's more.
Mixed signals coming from the world's second largest economy about doing business there. China has been trying to attract foreign companies by promoting itself as business friendly. But at the same time, news has surfaced that a Wells Fargo bank employee has been banned from leaving the country. Wall Street Journal reports that the exit ban applies to Shanghai-born Chen Yuemao, who heads the bank's international factoring business. Business groups, diplomats, and overseas executives say the incident is part of a long-term trend that had appeared to ease. A spokesperson for China's foreign ministry said he was not aware of the matter. He added that China is committed to providing a welcoming environment for foreign companies. The U.S. Embassy in Beijing said it could not comment on specifics, but said it raised concerns with Chinese authorities about arbitrary exit bans on American citizens.
Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is upping its game. On Thursday, OpenAI announced a new feature for ChatGPT that will allow it to think and act for a user. The company said a user can pose a highly complex question and get help. One example, asking for help finding attire and hotel reservations, that is, to attend a wedding. Analysts say the new tool will help turn ChatGPT into a reliable assistant for users, but OpenAI says the new function does have some limitations. The company says it has limited the data the new tool has access to, and some tasks like sending an email will still require a user to oversee the message. The tool can also not perform high-risk tasks like bank transfers. Chinese steel makers appears to be bypassing tariffs with semi-finished blocks called steel billets. Dozens of countries have launched anti-dumping investigations on Chinese steel exports, and top trade partners, Vietnam and South Korea, have imposed tariffs. Customs data shows exports of steel billets between January and May were 3 times greater than the year before. Records show top export destinations for steel billets are Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Those countries have tariffs on finished steel products, but none on steel billets. New research shows Chinese-linked hackers have their eyes set on the semiconductor industry, and they're escalating and intensifying their cyber espionage activities. Here's more.
China-linked hackers are stepping up their attacks on both the Taiwanese semiconductor industry and investment analysts. This is based on new analysis from cybersecurity firm Proofpoint. Researchers have noted an increase in sustained hacking campaigns from several China-aligned hacking groups. Proofpoint says at least 3 different Chinese-linked groups carried out the attacks, primarily between March and June of this year. The hackers would pose as job seekers or investors and send out emails that included links to malware. While researchers did not name the targets, they said there were about 15 to 20, ranging from small businesses to large global enterprises. This comes as Washington has beefed up restrictions on exports to China of U.S.-designed chips, which are often manufactured in Taiwan.
Cutting China out of undersea telecommunication cables. The U.S. has expressed broad data security concerns about a network of more than 400 subsea cables that handle 99% of international internet traffic. As a result, the FCC said it plans to bar companies using Chinese tech or equipment from connecting to the cables. It's considering blocking those on its list of companies that have been deemed to pose threats to national security. This includes Huawei, ZTE, China Telecom, and China Mobile. CBS says it's canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in May of next year, ending a staple of late-night television. Colbert announced the news during yesterday's taping, telling the crowd, quote, "This is all just going away." CBS executives say the decision was purely financial and not tied to ratings or Colbert's content. Still, the cancellation comes just days after Colbert criticized CBS's parent company, Paramount, for settling a lawsuit tied to the 60 Minutes segment, which Trump filed. Colbert's show leads its time slot and just earned another Emmy nomination this week. It's no $45 billion prize like the players in Squid Game are competing for, but the dystopian Korean drama helped Netflix beat Wall Street estimates. The third and final season of the global phenomenon was just released just days before the streamer's second quarter ended. Netflix says it racked up 122 million views. The streaming service also raised its revenue guidance for the year to $44.8 billion. It cited a weakening dollar plus healthy member growth and ad sales. While Netflix has been building its ad-supported service, it said advertising will not be its primary growth driver this year. The first teaser for the final season of the Netflix show Stranger Things has dropped, and for the kids, the Japanese animated movie My Neighbor Totoro returns to theaters. Also, the new Superman movie spurs interest in dog adoption. Here's more.
Wherever this blood leads. I need you to fight one last time.
Here's your first look at the 5th and final season of Stranger Things. Our heroes are united, but their town is under military quarantine. 11 is in hiding, and the final battle is looming. Volume 1 of the final season debuts November 26th on Netflix, with Volume 2 on Christmas Day and the finale on New Year's Eve.
Totoro? Is that what your name is?
So you've seen him too. That's very interesting.
My Neighbor Totoro is returning to theaters. The magical adventure from Oscar-winning director Hayao Miyazaki screens in Japanese with subtitles on July 21st and 22nd and dubbed in English on July 19th, 20th, and 23rd. Locations and showtimes at fathomentertainment.com.
Crypto. Home. Take me home.
Superman fans may be taking more dogs home because of the movie. The dog training app Woofs tells the Wrap Google searches for "Adopt a Dog Near Me" jumped more than 500% after the film's opening weekend. Good boy, crypto. Good boy.
Onto Wall Street, S&P 500 and Nasdaq ended mostly flat today. Markets partially recovered. Now, despite recent record highs, investors are now focused on how President Trump's policies and new economic data are impacting the broader economy. Earnings season began with strong results. Over 81% of early S&P 500 reporters beating expectations. Still, stock reactions were mixed, with some companies falling despite strong earnings. Crypto stocks rose after a House bill advanced regulation, while energy stocks declined. That's it on today's Business Matters.